Welcome to Bible in a Year with Scott Purcell. I'm so glad you're joining me. This is a daily reading of portions of the Bible, following a plan that will include the entire Bible in a year. And now, let's open the book and begin our readings. This is the reading for day 26. If your reading is aligned with the calendar year, this is for January 26. The Old Testament reading is from Job 1, Job 2, and Job 3. Job 1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. That man was blameless and upright and God-fearing and turning away from evil. And 7 sons and 3 daughters were born to him. Then his livestock came to be 7,000 sheep and goats, and 3,000 camels, and 500 pairs of oxen, and 500 female donkeys, and he had many slaves, and that man was greater than all the people of the east. And his sons used to go and hold a feast at each other's house on his day, and they would send and they would invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. Then, when the days of the feast had run their course, Job would send and he would sanctify them. Thus he would arise early in the morning and offer burnt offerings according to the number of all of them, because Job thought, "Perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their heart." This is what Job used to do all the time. And it happened one day that the sons of God came to present themselves before Yahweh, and Satan also came into their midst. So Yahweh said to Satan, "From where have you come?" Then Satan answered Yahweh and said, "From roaming on the earth and from walking about in it." So Yahweh said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? Indeed, there is no one like him on the earth, a blameless man, and upright, and God-fearing, and turning away from evil." Then Satan answered Yahweh and said, "Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not put a fence around him and all his household, and around all that belongs to him on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his livestock has increased in the land. But, on the other hand, stretch out your hand and touch all that belongs to him, and see whether he will curse you to your face." So Yahweh said to Satan, "Look, all that belongs to him is in your power. Only do not stretch out your hand against him." So Satan went out from Yahweh's presence. And then there was one day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their firstborn brother's house. And a messenger came to Job and said, "The oxen were plowing, and the female donkeys were feeding beside them. Then the Sabaeans attacked, and they took them, and they slew your servants by the edge of the sword. But I escaped, even I alone, to tell you." While this one was still speaking, another one came and said, "The fire of God fell from the heavens, and it blazed up against the sheep and the goats and against the servants, and it consumed them. But I escaped, even I alone, to tell you." While this one was speaking, another came and said, "The Chaldeans formed 3 divisions, and they made a raid on the camels, and they carried them away, and they struck your servants by the edge of the sword. But I escaped, even I alone, to tell you." At the time this one was speaking, another came down and said, "Your sons and your daughters were eating and drinking wine in their firstborn brother's house. And behold, a great wind came from across the desert, and it struck the 4 corners of the house so that it fell upon the young people, and they died. But I escaped, even I alone, to tell you." Then Job arose and tore his outer garment and shaved his head. Then he fell upon the ground and he worshipped. Then he said, "Naked I came out from my mother's womb, and naked I will return there. Yahweh gives, and Yahweh takes. Let Yahweh's name be blessed." In all this, Job did not sin and did not charge God with wrongdoing. Job 2. And then one day the sons of God came to present themselves before Yahweh. And Satan also came into their midst to present himself before Yahweh. So Yahweh asked Satan, "From where have you come?" And Satan answered Yahweh and said, "From roaming on the earth and from walking about in it." So Yahweh asked Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? Indeed, there is no one like him on the earth, a blameless man and upright and God-fearing and turning away from evil, and still he persists in his blamelessness, even though you incited me against him to destroy him for nothing." Then Satan answered him and said, "Skin for skin. All that man has he will give for his life. But stretch out your hand and touch his bones and his flesh, and see whether he will curse you to your face." So Yahweh said to Satan, "All right, he is in your power. Only spare his life." So Satan went out from Yahweh's presence, and he inflicted Job with loathsome skin sores from the sole of his foot up to the crown of his head. So he took for himself a potsherd with which to scrape himself, and he sat in the middle of the ashes. Then his wife said to him, "Are you still persisting in your blamelessness? Curse God and die." So he said to her, "You speak like one of the foolish women speaks. Indeed, should we receive the good from God, but not the evil?" In all this, Job did not sin with his lips. Thus Job's 3 friends heard of his calamity that had come upon him. So each set out from his own place, Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. And they met together to console him and to comfort him. Thus they lifted up their eyes from afar, but they did not recognize him. So they raised their voice and they wept, and each man tore his outer garment and threw dust on their heads toward the sky. Then they sat with him on the ground for 7 days and 7 nights, but no one spoke a word to him because they saw that his suffering was very great. Afterward, Job opened his mouth and cursed his day. Then Job spoke up and said, "Let the day perish on which I was born, and the night that said, a man-child is conceived. Let that day become darkness. May God not seek it from above, nor may daylight shine on it. Let darkness and deep shadow claim it. Let clouds settle on it. Let them terrify it with the blackness of day. Let darkness seize that night. Let it not rejoice among the days of the year. Let it not enter among the number of the months. Look, let that night become barren. Let a joyful song not enter it. Let those who curse the day curse it, those who are skilled at rousing Leviathan. Let the stars of its dawn be dark. Let it hope for light, but there be none. Let it not see the eyelids of dawn, because it did not shut the doors of my mother's womb, nor did it hide trouble from my eyes. Why did I not die at birth? Why did I not come forth from the womb and expire? Why did the knees receive me and the breasts that I could suck? For now I would lie down and I would be at peace. I would be asleep. Then I would be at rest with kings and counselors of the earth who rebuild ruins for themselves, or with high officials who have gold, who fill up their houses with silver. Or why was I not hidden like a miscarriage, like infants who did not see the light? There the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary are at rest. The prisoners are at ease together. They do not hear the oppressor's voice. The small and the great are there, and the slave is free from his masters. Why does he give light to one in misery, and life to those bitter of soul, who wait for death, but it does not come, and search for it more than for treasures, who rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they find the grave? Why does he give light to a man whose way is hidden, and God has fenced him in all around? For my sighing comes before my bread, and my groanings gush forth like water, because the dread that I feel has come upon me, and what I feared befalls me. I am not at ease, and I am not at peace, and I do not have rest. Thus turmoil has come. The New Testament reading is from Matthew 18, verses 10 through 35. Matthew 18:10. See to it that you do not despise one of the little ones, for I tell you that their angels in heaven constantly see the face of my Father who is in heaven. What do you think? If a certain man has 100 sheep, and one of them wanders away, will he not leave the 99 on the hills and go and look for the one that wandered away? And if he happens to find it, truly I say to you that he rejoices over it more than over the 99 that did not wander away. In the same way, it is not the will of your Father who is in heaven that one of these little ones perish. Now if your brother sins against you, go correct him between you and him alone. And if he listens to you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not listen, take with you in addition 1 or 2 others, so that by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses every matter may be established. And if he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. But if he refuses to listen to the church also, let him be to you as a Gentile and a tax collector. Truly I say to you, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you release on earth will be released in heaven. Again, truly I say to you that if 2 of you agree on earth about any matter that they ask, it will be done for them from my Father who is in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there in the midst of them. Then Peter came up to him and said, Lord, how many times will my brother sin against me, and I will forgive him? Up to 7 times? Jesus said to him, I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. For this reason the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a man, a king, who wanted to settle accounts with his slaves. And when he began to settle them, someone was brought to him who owed 10,000 talents. And because he did not have enough to repay it, the master ordered him to be sold, and his wife and his children and everything that he had, and to be repaid. Then the slave threw himself to the ground and began to do obeisance to him, saying, Be patient with me, and I will pay back everything to you. So the master of that slave, because he had compassion, released him and forgave him the loan. But that slave went out and found one of his fellow slaves, who owed him 100 denarii. And taking hold of him, he began to choke him, saying, Pay back everything that you owe. Then his fellow slave threw himself to the ground and began to implore him, saying, Be patient with me, and I will repay you. But he did not want to, but rather he went out and threw him into prison until he would repay what was owed. So when his fellow slaves saw what had happened, they were extremely distressed, and went and reported to their master everything that had happened. Then his master summoned him and said to him, Wicked slave, I forgave you all that debt because you implored me. Should you not also have shown mercy to your fellow slave, as I also showed mercy to you? And because he was angry, his master handed him over to the merciless jailers until he would repay everything that was owed. So also my heavenly Father will do to you, unless each of you forgives his brother from your hearts. The wisdom literature reading is from Psalm 16, verses 1 through 11. Psalm 16. A Miktam of David. Protect me, O God, for I take refuge in you. O my soul, you have said to Yahweh, You are my Lord. I have no good apart from you. With regard to the saints who are in the land, They are the noble ones in whom is all my desire. Those who hurry after another god increase their sorrows. I will not pour out their drink offerings of blood, nor take up their names on my lips. Yahweh is the portion which is my share and my cup. You hold my lot. The measuring lines have fallen for me in pleasant places. Yes, my inheritance is delightful for me. I will bless Yahweh who advises me. Yes, at night my innermost being instructs me. I have set Yahweh before me always. Because he is at my right hand, I will not be shaken. Therefore my heart is glad, and my glory rejoices. Yes, my body will dwell in safety, for you will not abandon my soul to Sheol. You will not give your faithful one to see the grave. You will make known to me the path of life. In your presence is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forever. This concludes the reading for day 26. Thank you for listening. These daily readings are made possible by your generous support of the global outreach ministry of Scott Purcell. To partner with us and enable this work and others like it, please visit huttobible.com/give and select Go Pastor Support from the fund list. You can also sign up for ministry updates at scott-purcell.epistle.org/subscribe. Both of those links can be found in the podcast description. Thank you for helping us share God's Word.